Hello and a very good evening. You're watching NewsX with me, Frank Pereira, and it's time for Speak Out India, your platform to voice your opinion. Now, today's topic, of course, is even as the world is celebrating International Women's Day, alarming news of rapes continue to pour in from across the country. In the last 48 hours itself, 8 cases of rapes have been reported. From Rohini in Delhi, Faridabad, Shahjahanpur in UP, Shiopur and Jaspur in Madhya Pradesh, Nagpur in Maharashtra and Kota in Rajasthan. The numbers do not account for the swathes of women who are too hesitant in fact, or rather, to report their misery to anyone. The question we are asking on Speak Out India tonight, of course, is can India become a progressive state if her women remain insecure? Are women respected more in Southwest India than North India? Is community policing an answer to crimes against women? Well, do call us in on the show tonight and let us know what you think. The number is flashing at the bottom of your screens, of course. This is your chance to voice your opinion on Women's Day, of course. Do come out and talk about what steps need to be taken and what is that one message that you want to send out to the government to ensure that our women are safe in this country. We have a caller online now. We have Colonel Bhatnagar from Mathura, in fact, joining us. Please go ahead, Colonel.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Getting a swing bank and allocation of 1,000 crore rupees, or having the Delhi Brave being honored today by the USA are just symbolic gestures for the cause. But let me ask you that where are the preventive measures on ground? Today, if you see, atrocities and inhuman behavior against women are still high, and the graph is becoming exponential in nature day by day. In South, if it's less, then it can just be attributed to the higher literacy rate in that part of the country. If we were talking about the moral or community policing by society, is actually no solution.
All right. Thank you so much, Colonel, for joining us on the show tonight and sharing your views and perspectives with us. Do call us in on the show on the number flashing at the bottom of your screens and tell us what you think. In the studio tonight, of course, we have National Secretary of the CPI, Amarjeet Kaur, and we also have Mr. Anand Srivastav, Managing Director, Beam Money, and he is also a social activist. Well, Anand, I'd like to start with you, of course. This is a major problem. Crimes against women, of course, are on the rise, and nothing that the government is doing or any steps taken doesn't seem to be bringing that figure down. What needs to be done to ensure that our women are safe?
See, I think there are 3 things which the government can do. One is on an immediate level is that to first of all sensitize the police stations, and most definitely each of the police stations must have women police police officer, whatever you may call them, and including on the patrol.
Well, we've been talking about this for a while now. Shouldn't this have already been in place?
Yes, most definitely it should have been in place, and then moving on beyond that, social security and economic security. These are the 2 things which will happen, is that which brings about a mental change in the society on how they look at the women in per se.
We have another caller joining us on the show right now. We have Rahul Varghese from Gurgaon. Go ahead, please, Rahul.
Yeah, I think we need to really make sure that the action that's taken against someone who's found to be doing something that's grossly and unjust is to publicize and humiliate this person and make sure that there's urgent and swift action that's taken, because if action is taken 3 years later, it is totally meaningless. If this thing needs to be publicized so that people get kind of humiliated, and I think that's the only way that guys will wake up and families will wake up and say that this is not something that should be done. It's absolutely inhuman. Even animals don't behave like this.
Certainly.
I don't see any reason why humans should.
All right. Thank you so much, Rahul, for sharing your views and perspectives with NewsX. We have Sudeep Sahu now from Ghaziabad. Go ahead, please, Sudeep.
Sir, this is the collective responsibility of the society to give moral education to their children, especially in rural areas. Because I think the rural people pass obscene remarks. I see I see these things in trains, in buses. And there must be strict laws, and there must be some safeguard to keep the moral high.
All right, thank you so much, Sudeep Sahu, for sharing your views and perspectives with the NewsX. We have Shabir now joining us on the phone line from Srinagar. Go ahead, please, Shabir.
Yeah, good evening for all of you.
Very good evening to you. Please go ahead.
Yes, I think in my point of view, we don't have a right to celebrate today's Women's Day.
Okay.
Because after the Delhi gang rape, our government did not wake up. So many raps are going after that.
All right.
If we take a chance and we will ourselves be a conscious, alive conscious man, we should need to protect ourselves, because we are not right now have any policy. We don't have any change in a system where we feel that our sisters, mothers are safe in our own country.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Shabir, for sharing your views and perspectives with NewsX. Amarjit Kaur, you heard what he had to say. Looking at today's scenario, looking at the plight of the women today, looking at the continuous rapes that are taking place all across the country, we do not have the right to celebrate Women's Day, is what he's saying.
You see, it's not the question of celebrating, it's question of observing this Women's Day, because this day began almost 103 years ago with demand from women workers. They were meeting in a conference at Copenhagen where this issue was raised that working women are contributing a lot in development process of the human civilization, and they are also sacrificing, so a day should be dedicated to their struggles. This is how the day began. So what we need to do is we have to look at where we have reached, we have to look at what are the weaknesses, we have to look at what further needs to be done so that the women and men together can really play an important role in the society. So it's not a question of celebration, it's a question of observance, and that is why we are debating at the moment why crimes against women are continuously rising.
Okay.
Let me make 2 points very clearly.
Very quickly.
One is that it is not a issue of women. It is an issue of whole of society, number one. So whole of society has to wake up to this thing.
Okay.
Government and outside government, everybody. Second thing which I want to say, any nation will be seen to be progressing only if the human development indicators show the real, in the real sense, the progress. And in that, the status of women and the status of children has become very, very important components when we look at the indicators. So if women are not progressing economically, socially, culturally, security point of view, that means that society is not progressing. So it should be concern of all of us, and we need to do a lot which is not being done even after wake up call what happened to Nirbhaya Damani.
All right, Amarjit, we need to do a lot, we need to do a lot, and we are still at the nascent stage. Nothing is being done. A lot more needs to be done by the government, and even the people's mindset needs to change, is what Amarjit Kaur is saying right now. We have Arif joining us on the phone line from Kashmir. Go ahead, please. Arif, if you can hear me, please turn down the volume of your television set and speak to us. We seem to have lost the line.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello. You see, I have to make a point. If you really want to provide some help and assistance to the ladies in general, throughout, the best course for you would be to empower legally the women force of police at par with FSPA that is being executed in Jammu and Kashmir. You have empowered FSPA to Indian Armed Forces. You should provide the same armed forces, the same teeth to the Indian police to deal with a situation like what you are experiencing every now and then.
All right.
Because please.
Thank you so much, Arif, for joining us. Okay, very quickly, please. Well, thank you so much, Arif, for joining us on the phone line and speaking to NewsX. We now have Amir joining us on the phone line from Srinagar. Go ahead, please, Amir. I seem to have lost the line there with Amir. Well, Anand, you heard what he had to say. The caller, in fact, was talking about the AFSPA and certain laws that are in place like that. He says that the police are, in fact, toothless at this point in time. More power needs to be given, and only then will anything change. How do you respond to that?
I think the laws are there. What is the problem with our country is that implementation and mindset. There was a previous caller who was making the point regarding the mindset. Particularly, I will talk about the the gender. As I remember going to school, and in the moral science books which was taught to us, till day I remember one of the single message which the brothers used to tell us is that please treat women as people, not things. Now till now it is etched in my mind. So so you know, the moment such an education first starts, after all the policemen are also they are trained, and if they come with this mindset that here is a person, here is a human person, being whom I need to respect, treat with respect, and treat more importantly with dignity, then you know the law implementation will automatically follow.
All right, we now have joining us on the phone line Usha Rao from Bangalore. Go ahead please, Usha.
Oh, well, on this International Women's Day, we as a nation should ponder over a lot of issues concerning women, you know. Chief among them is, of course, the status of women today, their position in society, and the atrocities that are being committed against women, and the remedial measures that need to be taken, you know. The country may be making great strides as an economic power, but any growth, any development that is not inclusive, a growth that excludes a large and important section of our population, that is the women of this country, is no growth at all. And to stem this rot, as far as crimes against women go, we need a total change in the mindset of men in the country. We need a gender-sensitive police force, police who can instill confidence in women that they will be protected. And I think lessons about gender sensitivity should be a part of the training which police undergo, you know.
All right.
And yes, women in the south are relatively safer because there are fewer cases of female feticide, but still a lot needs to be done to prevent crimes against women.
All right, thank you so much, Usha Rao, for sharing your views and perspectives with NewsX. So we have with us on the show Deepika Sharma as well, social activist. Deepika, I'd like to pose this question to you. Of course, I was reading an article earlier in the morning, of course, that said that 70% of the rapes in India occur in North India, whereas South India constitutes only to about 28 or 29% of the rapes. Why do you think that number in North India is so high?
Frank, I feel that number one, literacy plays a huge role in inculcating the right attitude amongst both boys and girls. Number one. Second of all is Northern India, the patriarchal mindset, and the fact that Northern India has always been, you know, a kind of a fighting battleground. If you see historically, Northern India has always been the place for invading races. You know, whether they have been Mughals or whether they have been previous rulers to that. So Northern India, the sense of aggression and the sense of violence is huge, accompanied by the fact that the Bimaru states, as well as the literacy level, as well as the patriarchal attitude. The partition itself, if you go back to the history, Northern India was the center that was affected by partition grossly. Southern India, compared to that, southern, eastern and western India remained immune to the effects of that. So historically also Northern India is seeing that kind of aggression, you know, and the fact is this: the literacy level, the education level, the governance, you know, in these particular northern states is particularly lacking. Though the capital of India is here, the power center is here, administrative center is here, but then at the end of the day, you know, the communities, the caste mindset, and the fact that the literacy level in Northern India is pretty low, and historical mindsets against women. Okay. So all these factors, you know, they play a
these are the factors. Amarjit Kaur, you wanted to add something as well, very quickly, please.
You see, I don't think that we should try to put it in a north-south divide, number one. Number two, rapes are happening in northeastern India also, in southern India also, in middle part of India also, everywhere. Somewhere the reporting is happening more, somewhere reporting is happening less. Maybe certain historical reasons here and there played some important role, but we should understand this thing, that this is a universal phenomena as far as India is concerned. Let us not put it north-south divide. Second thing which I want to say is, let us not put the caste questions into it. Third thing which I want to say, educated people are also committing these crimes.
Very true.
All these cess rapes, what is happening? Are they uneducated people? Many of them. And when the workplace harassment, sexual harassment is taking place, even in posh offices, is it something to do with illiteracy? It's not.
So what is the problem then?
Or literacy
Amarjit,
or
what is the problem then? Why is it happening? Why is it happening with educated people as well?
It is happening because of mindset, our attitudes. If the woman is to be treated as a commodity, then this commodification of women is happening more and more with this neoliberal economy.
So upbringing
And
is the
those
problem,
things
is that what you're saying? Upbringing is the problem.
Not only upbringing, upbringing was happening earlier also. It's not only upbringing. You cannot attribute it to one single reason. There is problems with upbringing. Yes, not all upbringings. There is a problem with education not dealing properly on gender sensitization question. Yes, that is also a problem. We don't have sex education. That is also a problem. But then, if the mindset is to use women and throw, if that continues to be to treat her as a commodity, this will continue happening, whatever cultural groups, whatever regional groups, whatever areas, whatever castes, whatever economic groups.
All right, Deepika, I'll come to you in a minute. Let me take a couple of callers as well on the show and see what the people of the nation in fact have to say. We have Chandra from Jammu. Go ahead please, Chandra.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening.
Very good evening to you.
I think with Kandas and Raju Bhaiyas in power, community policing is not going to work at all.
Okay.
So what we need is strong laws. They should be forced. And then above that, there should be fast-track courts like it is in the case of terrorism. And there should be no presidential pardon to drag the case further on. It should be strictest punishment that is of hanging till that.
All right.
Only then we can have the safety of women. Otherwise, the things are going to from bad to worse.
All right. Thank you so much, Chandra, for sharing your views and perspectives with NewsX. We have Reena Paul now joining us on the phone line from Haryana. Go ahead, please, Reena.
Hi. Thank you very much. I'm glad I'm able to, tell you my views about this. First of all, I drive a car, and as far as eve teasing is concerned, I am a working woman, and I face it every day. You won't believe it. Despite my mirrors rolled on, I face it every day. So I am in fact in a way indirectly a victim. I would like to say here that we should not be blaming the government or the other people. I completely agree with the lady who was just speaking just a few minutes back that yes, it has nothing to do with the caste, creed, anything, or women wearing full clothes or half clothes, because nowadays the rapes which are happening in your own house. Your own relatives are doing it, so it is all in your mind. What I'm trying to say is, tomorrow when I have a son, the moment he grows up and he's able to understand things, I would like to educate him and tell him that please respect women the way you respect me. Every other woman is respectable. And another thing, if the government is not able to sort this out with the support of people and the police, then please I request you to legalize killing daughters in the womb and let us know that it is a daughter. If I have to bring my daughter in this kind of an environment and get her raped by 10 people, one people, or my father or my brother, or so to say anybody and everybody, then I better not bring her in this world.
All right.
And I mean it.
All right. Thank you so much, Reena, for sharing your views with us. Deepika, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, Reena, you see, your concern is very valid and very true, because this is what we are reading in the newspapers every day. The moment we open the front page of the newspaper, one such great news is always on the top.
Well, I don't even want to open the newspaper because of what is happening. I don't even want to look at the newspaper because it appalls me to see something like this on a newspaper on a daily basis. It's not something that happens in a one-off instance. It happens on a daily basis, Deepika.
Absolutely. But at the same time, we being the citizens of this country, we being responsible for ourselves. If the governance is not effective, if the policing is not effective, then we have to get out of our homes and do something about it. And this is the reason I tell the youth of the country that the country is actually in their hands. And with the Nirbhaya case, they have shown that, when they assembled at the India Gate and Jantar Mantar, and they showed their power. This is what I want to convey to Reena, that she should not have such thoughts that killing daughters in the womb. Of course, this is not right, but then come participate in every event, every rally, move out of the house. And of course, the point that you made is protecting daughters at home, the attitudes at home, the security within the four walls. That has to be fortified, and that could only be fortified by education, counseling, and mothers and fathers equally have a great role to play.
Well, certainly mothers and fathers have an equal role to play, and upbringing of course is the key, because if you are told to respect a woman from when you're a little child, you'll end up growing up and respecting a woman as well. Paresh Pansal now joins us on the phone line from Gujarat. Go ahead please, Paresh.
महिला दिन के लिए महिलाओं को शुभकामना। मैं कहूंगा महिलाओं को एक खुद की पॉलिटिकल पार्टी बनानी चाहिए, हर सीट पे महिलाओं को खड़ा रहना चाहिए, हर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनसी महिलाओं को मैं कहूंगा कि महिला को आप जिताइए और एक अपनी एकता का, अपनी सक्षमता का, अपने बल का एक उदाहरण आप दीजिए। दूसरा मैं कहूंगा कि महिलाओं को जो एफआईआर नोट करवाने जाती हैं तो उनको बहुत इधर उधर धक्के होता है, तो एक ऐसी फैसिलिटी देश के अंदर होनी चाहिए, ऐसी विंडो होनी चाहिए जहां पर एफआईआर तुरंत नोट हो। अगर लेट नोट होती है तो उसके लिए जो थाना अधिकारी होते हैं उनको भी जिम्मेदार मानना चाहिए। तीसरा कहूंगा हमारी जुडिशरी में जो न्याय मिलता है उसकी प्रक्रिया में बहुत देरी होती है, जिसके कारण आरोपी होते हैं वो छूट भी जाते हैं, ऐसा होता है जिसके कारण सजा का या कानून का खौफ नहीं होता है, तभी महिलाओं पर अत्याचार होते हैं। इसको सुधार की जरूरत है। हमारी पैनल का क्या मानना है?
धन्यवाद। Thank you so much, Paresh Panchal, for sharing your views with us. Amarjit, I'll start with you and then go to Anand as well.
Yes.
Political party only for women, interesting aspect that he raised.
I don't think so. Again, if we think that it's women's issue and they have to decide about it and they should have their party and all, no. I say it should be shame for whole of society. The political structures, the institutions, the democratic institutions, governance, outside governance, civil society, everybody should feel ashamed if we find such a situation that half of the population feels insecure, the other half is also not secured. Nobody is secured. So from that point of view, I think this issue is an issue of human rights of everybody. She as being a female gender, the other being a male gender, we need such a society where nobody should fear from each other. That sense of security has to be there. This is my humble submission. Let us not put it in that way. And secondly, one of the caller, when you were talking to him, was trying to say that we need to work more in rural area to make the people understand. There is no rural-urban divide.
Yes.
Every day the newspapers you open, they tell about rural area, they tell about urban area. The meanness is everywhere. Let us not divide it geographically, or let us not divide it caste-wise. Let us not even divide on economic structures or the education and all. Let us understand this is an issue of attitudes, and attitudes need to change from top to bottom everywhere.
Attitudes
we all
need
have
to change from top to bottom. Anand, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, just to supplement, something which was the caller was saying. I totally agree with that there should not be segregation of what is being talked about. Fortunately, in India, and there was a talk about the FIR. We have 900 million mobile phones, and there is an IT Act which is in place. People should be allowed to file an FIR from using their mobile phones. First of all, that is number one, so that at least that thing goes away, and the lady terrified should not have to walk up to a cop who's got 4 buttons open. The second thing is that particularly as far as the courts are concerned, which are dealing with the women related crime, should be, I must say, they should be all women, because of the current atmosphere, I mean the system which we are growing with, and the kind of questioning which one knows is being put up to. But more importantly, there should be, because we are pay tax, so quite frankly we are supposed to demand what is the service level turnaround time. So it is time that judiciary should also give a stipulated time frame that I will do this in such a period of time, a fixed time.
Yeah, we have a turnaround time for everything else.
Absolutely.
Maybe this too needs a turnaround time, and that will in fact help. We have with us on the phone line now Ashik joining us from Kashmir. Go ahead please, Ashik.
Good evening.
Very good evening to you. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call, sir.
You're most welcome.
Yes, sir. I think that in India, porn sites on the internet must be banned, and we should teach children about respect of women in school and as well as at home. And these who do this crime must be hanged. And you see, mostly in Kashmir, rape cases don't occur because from the beginning of a child we teach him that how to respect whom and what to do. So I think when a child grows up, we should teach him about respect of women. And I think there is no other solution of this. There is only one solution, that when a child grows up, we shouldn't give him mobile, computer, and if we give him that...
Alright, Ashik, you made your point. Thank you so much for joining us on the show and speaking to NewsX. We have Kamlakar now joining us from Jalgaon. Go ahead please, Kamlakar.
Good evening, sir.
Very good evening to you. Please go ahead.
In rural area, increasing of percent of burning women and psychological harassment is more than rape cases.
Okay.
All data indicates collapse of our society. That's why, in a basic level, moral education and sex education is essential. That's why I agree. I totally agree with your expert.
All right. Thank you so much, Kamlakar, for joining us on the show and speaking to NewsX. Deepika Sharma, of course, sex education is something that that parents and teachers are very apprehensive about. It's something that doesn't come out naturally. And do you think that sex education needs to be made compulsory, and parents and teachers and elders alike need to be more open about these kind of topics when it comes to the younger generation?
Absolutely, Frank. In schools, at homes, you know, the first duty happens to be that of parents, that they must educate their children, they must speak to them, they must speak to them openly, they must have a very friendly attitude towards them. And of course, at the school level also, I genuinely believe that this particular kind of sex education should begin at least from class 5th or 6th standard onwards, because of the fact that now even the scientific data has proved that, you know, girls and boys are reaching their puberty level very early.
Yes.
So the thing is this, that it's very, very important, and the most important thing is to sensitively educate the children, and you require a lot of courage, because of the simple fact that children are small and they, you know, they giggle, they laugh, they feel uncomfortable. So teachers also will have to be taught how to deal with it, because it's not only academic issue, Frank.
Yes.
It is psychological, and of course it is a social issue.
As
so
well.
It's very pertinent, very important. Government is bringing out a law, and that's very nice.
All right, thank you so much, Deepika, for joining us on the show tonight. Anand and Amarjeet Kaur as well, and sharing your views and perspectives with us here on NewsX and on Speak Out India. That's all the time we have on this edition of Speak Out India. Thank you so much for watching, but do stay tuned. After this very short break, we have the NewsX debate at 9 with Jujar Singh.